Today's actually a really exciting episode. It's episode 90, and if you guys remember, go all the way back to episode 80, we had our first fan-hosted episode with Aperba, which was all about like world cuisine found with Wisconsin, and we couldn't actually resist doing another fan-hosted episode with Ramsay. He's got the Instagram account Northman_Bushcraft, and really your original topic that you proposed to us was about the 5 national wilderness areas in Wisconsin. But we got together and we were like, what the heck is bushcraft? Want to talk about it? So we're very excited. Let's start there. Ramsay, what the heck is bushcraft?
So bushcraft means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and I found a really good definition off of Wikipedia, of all places. But I really liked it.
So you know it's true.
Yeah, right. I really liked it, and it kind of spoke to me. So Wikipedia defines it as the usage and practice of skills, acquiring, developing knowledge and understanding in order to survive and thrive in a natural environment. So, you know, that means a lot of different things. So some people, if you have to start out taking a giant tent out into the woods and you got to take a lighter and you got to take gas to get your fire going and you got to do all that kind of stuff, okay, that's your level. As you acquire knowledge, as you practice those skills, the more knowledge you have, the less gear you need.
So it's kind of the like evolution of like backpacking is very gear light. Bushcraft is even more
further.
Gear light.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we could drop you in an episode of Lost.
Yeah.
And you would be,
Maybe.
you would thrive.
Well, I was telling these guys they don't watch enough Alone. That is my favorite TV show
Hands
right
down.
now to watch with my wife, and we've just been eating through episodes of that. And you said that you've like heard from the people on Alone, right?
Yeah, I had a producer reach out to me. They emailed me, said they found my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I told them flat out, thank you, but I'm not anywhere near skilled enough to get on the show. So
I have a couple short questions, and then we'll kind of get into the national areas that you originally wanted to talk about. For all of us that have had this argument at the campsite, teepee or log cabin?
both.
Oh, okay.
I make a hybrid.
All right.
So check it out on my Instagram. I've got a couple pictures on there. But I build a tinder bundle, and then I stack like a cabin around it, and then I lay ones around it like a teepee.
Okay.
So when it burns down, the center burns in and everything collapses in on itself, and you get a really, really nice bed of coals.
Very nice. I'll have to give that a shot next time I'm out. And then my other question was, how do you deal with the mosquitoes of doing this kind of survival in Wisconsin?
Yeah, smoke. You smoke yourself out. If you get a good fire going and you get a lot of smoke on it, it keeps bugs away.
Okay, well, I do have one last question before we move on, which is, I mean, you must have had some really crazy experiences having done this and trying to get better at this skill. Like, do you have like a fun story that you could share with us?
We had been out hiking all day, and we got back, and it was 7 o'clock. It was already pretty much dark. And we made dinner, cleaned up our stuff, and my buddy went off to bed, and I was soaked, so I was sitting by the fire drying my clothes. I kind of felt a little uneasy. It's darkness, okay. So another half hour, I went off to bed, and my buddy and I's tent were about 20 yards apart. He starts hollering, "Hey, is that you?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And then he's like, "Get out of here." And we heard this blood-curdling scream. And we're outdoorsmen, so we had a handgun with us, and he shot off into the darkness, and then we never heard anything again. So,
Like what kind of blood-curdling scream?
I have so many questions. Okay.
That is terrifying.
so that's a bobcat.
Wow.
Whoa, that sounds close enough to human.
Yeah. I would be afraid firing off at that scream in case it was human.
So if you can imagine, it was completely dark. There's no lights, pitch blackout, and we heard that.
That's going to be a hard pass
And
for
you
me.
still go out and do that because that would have been the day that I quit bushcraft.
Yeah, so if you realize and understand that when you're going out, you're in their territory. You know, a lot of the places, they don't get the kind of traffic that state parks get. So the animals there are wild. And if you go into it knowing and respecting the nature and their area and their territory, you can be just fine.
So if you go, when you go do the bushcraft, when you go out there, how long do you go for on average?
Typically, I go for 3 days.
Okay. So 3 days, how much food do you bring versus how much are you thinking maybe you'll find or kill along the way?
That all depends on, you still have to follow local fishing and hunting guidelines. But if you can forage, for wild edibles, make sure you know what you're eating.
Define edibles.
Well, plants, berries, not that kind of edible.
Well, for example, my mind just went to mushrooms, in part because you said edibles, but in part because wild mushrooms grow everywhere. Mm-hmm. Some are safe to eat, most are very much not.
Well, you can eat all mushrooms.
Sometime
once. So I don't touch mushrooms. I'm not confident enough to be able to correctly identify something, but there's broadleaf plantain. It grows in everybody's yard. I guarantee you go out into your yard, it's there. It's kind of looks like baby spinach, and then there's like another little stalk that comes up. Mm-hmm. Super delicious. Kind of tastes like spinach. It's a natural antihistamine. So if you've got bad bug bites, chew it up into a paste and put it on your skin, and it's going to help draw out that toxin. Dandelions too.
I was just going to say you can make soup and tea out of dandelions.
And dandelion tea is delicious, but
and healthy.
Yeah, every single part of the dandelion is edible, down to the root. Pine needle tea is also a very wonderful, nutritious thing. A lot of times when you're out in the bush, you have to purify your water, so it's going to be hot anyways, so might as well just make a tea out of it so you don't have to wait for it to cool down to drink. You do have to be careful. Some pine, like hemlock, that is toxic. You don't want to use cedar also. Basically, if the pine needle is flat, stay away from it. If it's round, you're good.
Okay, so this has been super fascinating, and I think we've all already learned a lot. But we do want to pivot a little bit because you originally, again, we got sidetracked with this conversation, but you originally wanted to talk to us about the 5 national wilderness areas that are totaling over 44,000 acres of Wisconsin.
Yeah. In 1964, Congress enacted the Wilderness Act, and basically it defines wilderness as an area of undeveloped, federally owned land. And to become a wilderness, it actually takes an act of Congress. So that's happened 5 times in Wisconsin. So we've got Rainbow Lake, Whisker Lake, Blackjack Springs, Headwaters, and Porcupine Lake. Rainbow Lake Wilderness became a wilderness area in 1975. And that was the first one in Wisconsin that came about. So that is 4 miles north of Drummond in Bayfield County.
Okay, off 63 a little bit.
Yep, and that's 6,583 acres.
Okay.
So it's
about 11 square miles.
Yeah, it's decent. So the next one is Whisker Lake Wilderness that came about in 1978. That is 11 miles west of Florence in Florence County.
Oh, way up though. Yep. Beautiful.
And that one shares a border with Iron County, Michigan.
Okay.
So they do touch. The wilderness touches both.
So it's kind of on both sides. I think the Brule River at that point, right?
Yeah, it does. The Brule River borders it. So that one is 7,500 acres.
Oh, okay.
So that one's a little bit bigger. Next, we've got the Blackjack Springs Wilderness, and I've been to this one personally. I should say I've got a Wisconsin Wilderness Bingo that I call it, to be able to get all 5 of those. I have to redo this trip because I was only there for a night. We got rained out really bad. I had a few inches of water in my tent. So it was a rough hike out with all the wet gear that we had.
Yeah, that's the worst, actually.
Yeah, so I've definitely got to redo this one. There's a lot of really cool things to see in Blackjacks. It is 7 miles northeast of Eagle River in Vilas County.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of between Eagle River and Phelps.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that is 5,800 acres. So another little small one. But it's got 4 large crystal clear springs that all come together to form the headwaters of the Blackjack Creek. Porcupine Lake Wilderness came about in 1984. So that one is 4 miles southeast of Drummond in Bayfield County.
Okay, so Bayfield County has 2 of these.
That's 2, both one on the north side, one on the south side of Drummond.
It's one of the largest counties in the state, but it doesn't have a single traffic light.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Well, Bayfield County is mostly wilderness.
Yeah, the Quamagon Nicolay National Forest
and
is all
beautiful
in there.
waterfalls, too.
Yeah.
And the waterfalls.
Yeah.
All right, so the 5th one. None of these are south. You notice that?
Nope.
Yeah.
They're all in the Quamagon Nicolay National Forest, all of them.
Oh, all of them are.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
the largest one that we've got is the Headwaters Wilderness that came about in 1984 again. That's 16 miles southeast of Eagle River in Forest County. Okay. That one is 20,104 acres.
Wow.
Yeah. big significant size difference in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's really neat about the Headwaters Wilderness is it's home to the largest and oldest trees in the forest.
Oh.
So somehow they escaped a lot of the fires that were going through there in the early 1900s. There's a nice trail that runs through. It's the Great Pine Trail. It's a big loop that you can go through and see all the giant trees in there.
Ramsay, thank you so much for coming in today. Always super fun when we get to have guests literally in the cabin with us. But thank you for sharing so much wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very much an amateur. There are way more knowledgeable people out there. Definitely go through Instagram. The community, the Bushcraft community, is very accepting, very welcoming, and they're very willing to share all the knowledge that they have.
Thanks again for coming in.
Thank you guys for having me.
Now I'm going to feel wimpy for glamping.